Oh no, I'm not gonna do
Here
that.
we are.
Huh?
I said we're live. We're now live. Greetings and salutations. Please forgive the technological delay. We are here, and as my regular listeners know, I'm using AT&T Wi-Fi hotspot. So if there are any freezing or delays, please blame AT&T. Don't blame me or Kempy Ford. Just be patient and know that, once we get past the freeze, I'll be right back. So I say greetings and salutations, Jumbo, K-Do, Habargani, Koyo. Come on in, greetings and salutations. You are now listening live to another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo, Secrets and Recipes, featuring the Divine Prince, Ty Mecca. I am a co-founder and co-administrator of New Orleans National Voodoo Day. Our second New Orleans National Voodoo Day is April 5th and 6th, 2025. Please visit the website scrolling at the bottom of the screen, VODOUDAY.org. Again, that's www.VOU, I'm sorry, VODOUDAY.org, voodooday.org. And our beloved activist, agitator, advocate Kim D. Ford is with us tonight with her lovely camera on. See how crystal clear that picture is showing up in her blue. Welcome, beloved. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I'm honored as usual.
Well, we certainly appreciate you being with us. I don't know where my other co-hosts are right now, but all it's a blessing. We're going to keep it moving. I did hear from Tony Val, so she might be busy or something. I don't know. Um, Elder Reggie said that he would scout through. And we don't have any guests in the live chat as of yet. I do see 9 people are watching us from probably YouTube or social media platform. So preferably everything's working. If there is any technical issues with the audio or the sound, let me know, Kim P. Ford, until someone here in the chat can come on in and assist that, assist us with that. It is carnival season. For those of you who don't know, now you know. I was just sharing with beloved local Kim P. Ford that the place to be is Treme, baby. Historic Treme Candlelight Lounge, Tuba Fats Park,
Yeah,
back
Two Fat Square.
Tuba Fat Square, Backstreet
Yeah.
Music. Yeah, the party is going on probably every night until Mardi Gras.
And you know what? If I was in New Orleans, I would definitely be out there. Let me tell you, did you see the pre game show at the Superdome?
I saw most of it. I even recorded. Oh wow, I just drew a blank. Our brother, the performer from here, but he live in New York City now, on the piano that sang the national anthem.
Yeah, John Baptiste.
Yeah, John Baptiste. I recorded a little John Baptiste. I saw everything for the most part. I did have a consultation that kind of interrupted, so I didn't see any of the halftime show whatsoever. But I
Oh,
did see,
really?
yeah, but I did see the opening, and I did see, New Orleans culture and representative show up.
Represented. Woo! My people, peace, peace.
Yes,
Green
I
Soap
love it.
just came in.
Yes, that's Elder Reggie. Elder Reggie,
And
one of practitioners and ministers and uh, co-founders and co-administrators of New Orleans National Voodoo Day. And the date is getting close, so I've got to say it. I've got to say it more than once. Please
Yeah.
visit us, join us, support us at voodooday.org, VODOUDAY.org. I don't have to tell you how historic this is. Not only that voodoo, whether it's with four O's or with the U, is being acknowledged and respected here in Louisiana and certainly in the U.S., but that for quite possibly the first time, we are coming together in New Orleans from Benin, Togo, Paris, Nigeria, Ghana, Haiti, Brazil, and certainly all points of the U.S. to come and participate and be a part of this historic commemoration, celebration, and coming together. We began at the river with our beloved Denise Augustine, sister storyteller, pouring libations, sharing our history, telling our story. Several other practitioners, leaders will be present at the river. Certainly from Haiti and Benin, representatives, Benin president will be here. The highest ranking practitioner in Benin will be here. And then they will process through the French Quarter, past the former slave exchange locations in the French Quarter where they caged and sold and marketed black bodies. They will make it through to, I believe, Elysian Fields. There are some historic markers that we will pour libation and take note on to St. Augustine and the Tomb of the Unknown Slave, St. Augustine Church, here in Tremaine, the Tomb of the Unknown Slave. And then you all will make your way through that side gate on St. Philip through Congo Square, through Armstrong Park into Congo Square, where you will meet myself and other practitioners at the tree where we honor and acknowledge Egungun and Colette, Gede and our ancestors. And we will then begin a formal Haitian West African style voodoo ceremony with participants from the diaspora. There will be food. We had wonderful food last night. If you wasn't there, you missed it. Oh my goodness, the food was excellent. We will have vendors this year and a few performances, but a formal voodoo ceremony there in Congo Square. And please bring your offerings, your libations, your bottle of rum, your bottles of Florida water, your flowers, your fruits, your produce, your cooked foods, your meats, your offerings to lay down at the tree as we honor and acknowledge those ancestors who created this foundation of voodoo upon which we now stand. We understand that voodoo arrived here in Louisiana, here in New Orleans, long before the Haitian Revolution, 100 years before, 90 to 100 years before the Haitian Revolution. The first enslaved Africans were brought here by way of the Bight of Benin in West Africa. Today's president, Ghana, Togo, um, Benin, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, right along that Gold Coast. And they were brought here to uh, New Orleans and subsequently to plantations in this region. And so they brought their ethno-cultural aboriginal practice and tradition with them. They held it in their hearts, in their souls, in their bosoms, indeed in their memory. And I like to say, and I coin the phraseology that indeed if our people could count in Fan or Ewe or Yoruba or Igbo or the like, then certainly they could come here and continue to count, certainly now through a forced colonial language, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, but could remember the count and the rhythm of the drum, could remember the count and the rhythm of the calendar, the astrological calendar, the sun calendar, and the moon calendar. can remember the rhythm, the count, the math, the numbers that correlate with the sacred Odu, our word of God, our spoken power of the word of God is our Odu. So they didn't erase math from our minds. They just forced us to now count in a new language and to only count or demonstrate intelligence when they so proved and for their if not killed for trying to erect anything African, erect anything communal, to do and perform anything unifying. And certainly the Haitian Revolution only increased the awareness and fear of our connections to nature and spirits, causing the plantation owners and slave owners here in the U.S. to only double down on the Willie Lynch, to only double down on the black codes, to only double down on the limiting and prevention of our ability to read and write and gather and beat drums by which they learned that we could communicate and dance and chant spirit by which they learned that we could uh, uh, make real world change. And so it was by grace of the middle of the Haitian Revolution that the oppression doubled down here in the States. And indeed, we went double down. In some of our culture, a great deal of our culture became amalgamated, synchronized with Christianity. Again, I often have said and continue to say there would be no church, there would be no Christianity in the U.S. today at all if it were not for the slave population that fed it life, that fed it spirit, that fed it fire, that gave it culture and tradition and practice. There otherwise would not be that religion and that culture here in the U.S. We remember that it was uh, because of the royal family and the Catholic Church that the colonizers supposedly fled the old world to the new world. And certainly there were groups like the Quakers, who weren't in line with enslaving humans and causing such tragedy, upon humanity. Uh, but collectively, as a nation, we all kind of toe the line until we so tired that we can't toe the line anymore. Thank you for coming back. Welcome back, Kim. So we now live in, the reincarnation of the season of Wakan. We now live in the reincarnation of the season of Marcus Garvey. We now live in the reincarnation of the season of Malcolm X and Dr. King and all the other great leaders that led revolution, that led protest, that led movement for liberation and the freedom and the rights of our people and all of our people, black and brown, male and female here on this land. And so National Voodoo Day is not just another opportunity to educate, re-educate what voodoo really is, and make a clear distinction between entertainment and Hollywood and Halloween and cartoons and fictional literature and imagination versus legitimate ethnocultural practice and tradition, which has always been a part of us, no matter what word or language we used to describe it, but now can coexist. Voodoo worldwide can now coexist. ATR, Aboriginal African traditional uh, religious, spiritual practices and traditions, under the semblance of freedom and liberty, understanding that we still must fight and work root and work mojo and juju for our continued liberation and freedom. But my desire is that we take that same fire and motivation, that spark that created invincibility among our people to lead the Haitian Revolution. We must recreate that invincibility and warriorship right now in this present dispensation to continue to move our people forward. And not just returning to once was. There is no returning to once what was. If COVID didn't teach us that, nothing will. We are now creating and recreating a reality that mirrors our best interests. We are now creating and recreating a reality individually, within our households, within our communities, and certainly that feeds the global dynamic, the universal dynamic. Thank you so much, Elder Reggie, for being with us again. Thank you, Imani Sankofa, for coming on in and enjoying us by way of YouTube and our live chat. Thank you for those who are listening on certainly thank you to my LinkedIn Thank you for my website visitors and participants. Thank you for those who are visiting and listening now from my EarthCam page. And certainly you are welcome to join us by utilizing the link that I'm about to put up on the screen. We do have a semi permanent link. If you wish to power up your webcam and your mic, you can certainly come on in and join us here now on the screen. You can also uh, type your questions, comments, requests directly into the chat, and Kim and I will do our best to see that and read that out loud and respond to it uh, as your questions, comments, and requests come in. Why can't I put up my other banner? Oh, there we go. There we go. I want to be sure that you could access that voodooday.org link. Write that down, and by also being able to access that StreamYard link at the bottom of the screen if you want to come on in and join the conversation. Uh, yeah, I caught the opening ceremony, but I didn't see any of the halftime, even in replay and YouTube and Twitter. I really haven't had time. I've been in consultations and administrative meetings all day and well into tomorrow. The bulk of the Super Bowl fans seem to have departed the city, but the carnival participants and revelers, they keep coming, huh? I can't hear you, Kim. You may have
I
muted
say
yourself.
I say we're gonna have more people for Mardi Gras than we did for Super Bowl.
I believe that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
because that crowd was kind of just maintained in a certain area, and a lot of people who have moved here don't understand until they experience it. But the city of New Orleans does not function on Mardi Gras Day. There will be no business being transacted anywhere. It's a holiday, just
Well,
like we.
there will be business, but it will be limited. There will be certain businesses and bars and locations.
Yeah,
You know,
bars. All of the bars are gonna be open, but you're not taking a bus nowhere. You
oh no,
walking.
you won't be taking the bus,
No, you walking.
and you're gonna be paying a lot of money to spend, over an hour in an Uber not to get anywhere, because the traffic will be absolutely gridlocked. And as
It will
Kim and
be gridlocked. You need
and
to be where you going at by 5 a.m.
I was going to say it will be regionally gridlocked. So, for example, if you are, one who celebrates Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras happens, on St. Charles Avenue with the highfalutin parades, Zulu and Rex and the like. Uh, Mardi Gras happens, on Bourbon Street and into the French Quarter, but Carnival is happening in the neighborhoods, in the communities. Baby dolls and Skull and Bone and masking Mardi Gras Indians will be parading the streets of the neighborhoods and the communities. So if you're thinking you're going to come and enjoy Mardi Gras and see some Indians too, not on the same day, and certainly not in the same location. Once you get locked into St. Charles Avenue, you will be locked in. Even walking
You're
from,
gonna be locked in wherever you go. The
yeah,
only
even
street that's going to be open in New Orleans on Mardi Gras Day is about uh maybe Carrollton Avenue to get from downtown to uptown.
hmm hmm
Certainly, you're not driving anywhere near the Mississippi River.
I performed at the Gallia Hall at the mayor's stand on Mardi Gras morning.
Oh,
Uh,
you too?
Only I've done it. Only I don't do it every year. I did it a particular year. I want to say it may have been Cantrell's first year, maybe her second year. I can't remember exactly. But I ended up having to walk from there back to Treme, because again, there is no bus, there is no Uber, there is no streetcar. When all that is happening,
Oh
and
no, the
even
streetcars shut
and
down
even
altogether. They don't streetcars don't run during Mardi Gras on St. Charles Avenue.
yeah, and even if they are running, again, they can't
They
get it.
don't run because they have parades there every day. The closer it gets to Mardi Gras Day, every night there's a parade on St. Charles Avenue, and the trash and stuff, all of that stuff has to be picked up before those streetcars can run. They pretty much don't go past Napoleon.
Yeah, that's why I say they are running, but you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you can't go past Napoleon Avenue, and that's like
You're limited in your travel, and where
yeah,
you can travel to, it's going to take you an absorbent amount of time
yes,
to
Lord.
get there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, think you might do better with a pedicab uh,
Yeah, you
on my.
might as well just get your own electric bike or your own bike. New Orleans is a great city to bike ride because it's
Mhm.
all on one level. We don't have any hills or mountains. You got to go up and down. The streets are pretty bad, but it's easy to get from one place to another. Now I'm thinking about getting an electric bike for Mardi Gras Day. I would love to. That'd be a great way to get around.
Well, for me, I don't leave the block. You know,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm a
because you in the spot.
I'm a master Mardi Gras Indian. I'm a culture bearer. I'm a part of the Black masking tradition. So I support the Skull and Bones. I support the Baby Doll. I've actually masked Baby Doll on Mardi Gras Day a few years. I've actually masked my Baby Doll in the morning and then
Mhm.
suited up Indian by 9 o'clock, and came right back out into the street here in Treme. And certainly with Backstreet Cultural Arts Museum now being, on the opposite corner of me, on the opposite end of the dining from me. Uh, Candlelight Lounge, Super Fat Square. It's still a major crossroad for Indians coming out of the ninth and seventh.
A major throughway, a major throughway for the Mascan Indians. Oh
And then
yes,
you'll
it
have
is.
it
Yes,
uptown
it is.
or in it underneath that Claiborne Bridge, where
Yes.
barbecuing and partying and picture taking and bending, will go on. Greetings,
Yeah.
King Solomon, beloved, one of my faithful godchildren and participants. And if you haven't seen, Elder Reggie also says greetings, beloved Solomon. If you all have commentary, you can't turn on your micro camera, just type it in the chat. We'll be glad to read it out loud and we'll respond to it for you. But yeah, I like to say I die every year during Carnival, only to be reborn the day after Mardi Gras.
And I've been doing Mardi Gras for 63 years. 63 years.
I'm
Even as a
walking
child. Even as a child, my mother got a bolt of leopard material from Krause's on Canal Street, and
Yes.
she bought the whole boat. So all of us, she took our clothes and sewed a patch of leopard,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and we all went to the parade. Could tell us we didn't have on a costume, right?
Yes, indeed.
It's just so much fun. I love Mardi Gras. And I have my cousins, a lot of my cousins ride on floats, but we just go and see Zulu on Mardi Gras Day. And
Hmm.
then everything else, but I love it. Just the whole season. The whole season. Her house is 2 blocks off of the Endymion route. So we
Hmm.
meet up over there. We borrow crawfish. We have had, well, it depends on the weather too. One time we had crawfish, we had barbecue, we fired up the grill. Oh my word. It went down. A big pot of red beans and rice. Everybody had red beans and rice for Mardi Gras Day.
Elder Reggie, I'll be glad to do that, but the link is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. But I'll
Yeah.
be glad to text it to
Put it
you.
in the chat.
Yeah,
See, I'm
green
not
soap.
on. I can't see it on, but I'll
Oh,
drop it
okay.
in there for you.
Yeah, green soap is Elder Reggie.
Okay. Um,
I'm going to text it to his phone again because I did send it to you, Elder Reggie, earlier in the day. I just resent it again by text. It's also scrolling at the bottom of the screen, access to your cam and your microphone. For me, Mardi Gras Day and Carnival season um, is high voodoo celebration. There's so much going on here behind the scenes in the community as it relates to voodoo uh, that your common tourist has no knowledge of or awareness of. Uh, People know it's here, they know it's going on somewhere, but they often don't know where or how to access it without literally coming in, through the community. And that ancestral demonstration of skull and bone, that demonstration of baby doll, that demonstration of black masculine culture and Mardi Gras Indians
oh
is
yeah, oh yeah.
very voodoo, very rooted in ancestral masquerade traditions, other spiritual traditions of Aboriginal and indigenous peoples. And so I'm often in a trance mood, Mardi Gras Day, almost the entire day. I'm usually sleep deprived. I've been beating, sequence, and sewing sometimes 3 or 4 days without any sleep, trying to be ready for Mardi Gras Day. And then you get a couple shots of fire water and a good rendition of Indian Red. And
Fire water.
I leave my body, not my spirit
The
leaves.
fire water.
And when I come down, it's over for me. Usually by 5 o'clock, Mardi
Yeah,
Gras Day, I'm back in the house, maybe even in the
it's
bed.
over.
Yeah, yeah. So when I wake up Wednesday morning, Ash Wednesday, the city is quiet and the Catholics are doing what they do, and the rest of the world is rolling like it's just another day. You won't take that Christmas tree down probably until the day after Mardi Gras Day, huh?
Mhm. And for people who are new here, they think that Mardi Gras lasts forever, but the city of New Orleans shuts it down at midnight on
At midnight.
Fat Tuesday. It's shut down, and they will physically get out on Bourbon Street with the police horses and a paddy wagon. And look, everybody have to go. You don't have to go home, but you got to get out of there. And I know the community is ready to call it a day.
Oh
We've
yeah,
been 40 in a long time by then.
I'll be exhausted, baby.
Yeah, I'm always ready for Mardi Gras to end. Always.
And this corner where I reside, baby, where my temple is where it's all going down.
Hmm.
Second line, the high school band rehearsing for Mardi Gras. I mean, this is every day and night.
Every day, all my life. It ain't just started. They've been doing that every day, all my life. I marched every year from ninth grade until I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
From ninth grade on, every year I was in the school band or the majorette or the dance team or something. Every year, I got out the band because their uniforms weren't cute enough.
Yes,
So
indeed. Come on in, Elder Reggie. Greetings and salutations.
Yeah,
greetings
greetings,
and
greetings, Divine,
salutations.
greetings, Sister Kim. Yeah, I have not trying to flip the topic on you, but I was going through
Please.
Instagram, and I want to see. Can you see this? Can you see that on Instagram? What I'm showing?
Yeah, it look like
Yeah,
somebody shaking.
No, if you can read the caption,
it looked like a white tee with a fake voodoo doll sticking
right,
sticking pins in it.
right. That right there, I seen that, and it kind of put me in a pissed off mood. So this European lady comes to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. I guess she takes a stroll through the quarters, find a small so-called voodoo doll with a pin of Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of Kansas City, and decide to stick pins in its back so he can have a bad game. But
Wow,
it's trinkets like that that gives New Orleans voodoo
a bad
a
name.
bad name. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
Mhm.
they want to bury our ATRs and superstitions, folklore, are just the absurd. And things like that really rubs me wrong sometimes. I just wanted to share that too.
Yeah, that's ugly. That's ugly.
Yeah.
And it's so but that's all,
It's
and that's
Morgan.
this is not the first time that I've had this conversation in my lifetime.
Okay.
And that conversation has been being had from since I was a child. I can remember the elders how pissed off they would be at something like that. But now it's a lot more readily available than it was when I was younger.
Well,
You
Hmm.
it's
know,
become
they had
commercialized
to
and it's
sneak and
part
do
of
that. They would do it late at night. You know,
Hmm.
now they're not sneaking no more. They just doing it.
well, it's become more commercialized, and certainly because
Yeah,
of the information superhighway,
yeah.
people think they know or understand, what's happening. we certainly have to give responsibility to um, not just Hollywood, but tourism for keeping, some of these things alive and then incorporating them as a part of, tourism. And the tourists who don't know anything about our culture have a hard time distinguishing between fantasy and fiction
Yeah.
and imagination and what's real. The
Yes.
creeping around, they did that in Marie Laveau's time.
Mm.
They would, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
they would, sneak off to go and visit Marie Laveau or Marie Laveau's daughter or other practitioners right here in our neighborhood, Treme, which is right across the street from the French Quarter, for those of you who don't understand. So here you have this, affluent uh, black district right next door to the red light district, and then right next door to this first free black community in America, and would sneak off to visit the root doctors, the Ritas, et cetera. This is long before Jackson Square tarot readers, was even thought about.
Okay.
Uh, Book authors, book writers brought Marie Laveau and her story out of the closet and then sensationalized it,
Right.
particularly in the 40s, the late 30s to 40s, maybe even going into the 1950s. And then the exploitive, and I don't necessarily mean black exploitation, but exploitive cinema and movies in general in the 1970s not only, uh, you know, appropriated black culture, but they also appropriated voodoo, what they called native or aboriginal tribes and cultures, and made all sorts of movies, and nonsense that further solidified this wicked, evil, stereotype, around our practice and our tradition. So it's really up to us as culture bearers to educate and re-educate fearlessly to bring the practice and the tradition out of the closet, not to appropriate the sacredness of the tradition. We're not here to give away, the secrets of the tradition, but to re-educate and restore the respect of the tradition. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this public voodoo ceremony in Congo Square to allow people to see and feel and experience the authenticity of the tradition and the practice, separate from that creative imagination entertainment element.
Well
We
said.
had this same conversation when Voodoo Donuts from Seattle thought they were going to move to New Orleans and open up a Voodoo Donut shop with some of the lewdest, crudest shaped donuts that you can imagine. Body parts, genitalia that they were
Mm.
going to set up and sell in the French Quarter. Now they're mixing, fantasy voodoo culture with the red light district, Hooters and what's going on Bourbon Street, and we're going to use that to sell and promote donuts. I ended up in a news article in the Washington Post, as well as the news media in Seattle, as to why that shouldn't happen, wasn't going to happen, and was a bad idea. And
Mm.
it's not the first time. I myself have taken jobs where I represented voodoo. I represented voodoo for Be the Beer when Purple Haze was popular and trending. And then several other beer brands went on to take on voodoo and Baron Samedi as a part of their imagery. But again, when you see me doing American Horror Story, when you see me doing TV, movies, film, and it's not a documentary, my goal again is to create conversation and the opening to allowing for the repowering of our practice and our tradition, and particularly for us, those of us who are now, you know, burnt out, of the church, of religion, some of these institutions of Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, which don't operate in our favor, which don't operate in our best interest, which have sought to disconnect us from um, our ancestral inheritance. So it's more important now than ever before that we do so and utilize the technology that's available to us to do so while we continue to educate and re educate ourselves about these practices and these traditions. Here locally in New Orleans, we invite you to be a part of our ongoing Haitian Creole classes on Monday night. Learn the language. Join us for our choir rehearsals on Wednesday night. Learn the songs that we're singing in Creole, and in the case of West Africa, French. We invite you to become a part of our ceremonies on Saturday night, where we all come together NONVD. Reach out to any of our culture bearers representing New Orleans National Voodoo Day for an education or an experience with the practice and the tradition here in a safe environment. Am I breaking up? Can you
No,
all
you
hear me?
sound you got good delivery, sounding good.
Okay, great. My Wi-Fi AT&T hotspot Wi-Fi is looking kind of weak on my end, but if y'all can hear me, that's great. We have exactly 15 minutes until the top of the hour. I certainly invite the comments, questions of Ms. Lacey. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings. Certainly Kim Ford, Elder Reggie Green Soap is here with us now on screen. Welcome the Alchemist, returning participant and member of our community. Thank you so much, Imani Sankofa, another returning member and godchild of mine, and all of you who are sharing and listening out in social media. Please share, like, subscribe, follow, repost the broadcast. They are automatically archived in YouTube, and so you can continue to reshare them even after we close out at the top of the hour. We certainly invite your questions, your conversation about voodoo and ATR, Pan African spirituality and traditions universally. Many of you live in areas where you believe it's not happening or you don't know it's happening. And we seek to build community across city and state and country. So many of us have access to other communities around the globe where the practice and the tradition is being demonstrated, and we can certainly assist in creating references and connections to your being a part of the community. Not everyone has to go to Haiti or Benin or Nigeria, or Cuba to initiate for that matter. And all of these countries and communities are now represented, not just here in the U.S., but particularly here in the city of New Orleans. We have leaders, elders, practitioners, representatives from the ATR community and certainly Voodoo worldwide. So we remind you that this is the mecca of spirit practice and tradition for North America and for Black America and for Indigenous and Aboriginal America. And we invite you to become a part of our community, support our community, join our community, and share with our community as we discuss spirituality, religion, politics, revolution, organizing, community organizing in this space. The StreamYard link is scrolling at the bottom of the screen for today and future podcasts, streamyard.com/AAK, the number 8, DA, the number 4, QSW. You can type that uh, into your browser during this and future podcasts. And we will also, in the future, just throw it in the chat. I thought Kim was going to do that. Uh, I was going to copy and paste and throw it in the chat, but I thought she was doing that. So let me take a second and do that. And we invite your active participation. My longtime listeners have heard me say time and time again, I'm not here to hear the sound of my voice. I don't particularly care for the sound of my own voice. My comfort zone is quiet and prayerful and meditative, but I'm good at speaking, I'm good at representing, I'm good at teaching, and I'm good at sharing. And so this is the space for your questions, your comments, your request, and your commentary about HER and Voodoo worldwide. And we know that this is unique to what you're seeing in social media right now, because you know, you know, this isn't about tarot card reading and help me get my man back and give me the lucky formula to the lottery. Just as in Saint Domingo, Haiti, and Dominican Republic of that day, this is about liberation. This is about freedom. This is about revolution. And it's about active participation in the ancestral powers that fuel and motivate that. Thank you so much, Solomon, for coming on in. Please turn your volume
Sure.
down because we get feedback from your audio. So turn your main volume down on your computer, Solomon, just a little bit, and then come on in. Greetings and salutations.
Greetings. Am I in there?
Yeah, you're here.
All right. I just want to say peace and lafayette, everybody. It's good to be back with y'all. I had a minute they wouldn't let me come in. I'll let me text, but I'm here to learn
We certainly appreciate you. Thank you kindly.
for
See,
sure.
I just threw a question up on the screen. Uh,
Divine, can I take a shot at that question?
sure, go right on ahead.
Yeah, okay. The alchemist asks, I have a question. What's the best way to dispose of our hair? To me, one of the best ways to do it if you can burn it. If you could burn your hair, I think that's one of the best ways. But if you cannot burn it, dispose of it with salt in a bag. Isolate it by itself with salt. Put it in a bag and tie it up. Then you could put it in the trash.
Yeah, I agree. I do have other responses as well to
Hmm.
that question, particularly for practitioners and hearing. And so you know that there are certain shrines, spaces where the keeping of hair would be appropriate. For the Yoruba community, a part of your initiation process in receiving the hand of Ifa traditionally has been the shaving of your hair. Certainly, when you go to West Africa, they shave your hair, and then your hair is buried in the sacred grove. It becomes, community energy, community ashe. We're talking ashe is not personal or independent or owned by one person. Ashe is communal. Ashe can be conferred upon person, place, or thing. Ashe can be shared and elevated by more than one person. But the ashe attached to your hair in, for example, Osoko, Nigeria, West Africa, is going to be buried in the sacred grove, uh, probably where it's not easily accessible and people aren't, risking, digging it up or messing with it. So that's one application. There are other ethnic groups, particularly in West Africa, that utilize hair in the implement of ancestral implements, dolls, statuary, so that ancestor, that deceased hair would be sewn in, crafted in, embedded in, to those pieces. There and again, you have another option. Some people flush their hair. My only concern with that is that your hair is going out into the ocean, just like all of our other human waste, and certainly can create imbalance. So frying your hair, burning your hair, barbecuing your hair, putting your hair in the fireplace, putting your hair in the urn, that burn your sage in, your frankincense and myrrh in. Excellent. And for those of you who do practice Ibori, again, when you're burning that incenser, adding that hair to it while you are chanting your Oriki and performing your Ibori can be a powerful additive to the process. I believe as late as Kemet in ancient Egypt, hair burning wasn't just to dispose of the hair safely, but was also used as a part of that incense mixture to allow for your energy, your prayers, your higher chakras, seventh and higher, to be elevated to the gods, along with your other ceremonial burnt offerings. So there's a number of ways. And you may have heard me mention that I inherited my mother's jewelry box, who was a hair dresser, much like Marie Laveau. And later we found evidence of her operating in hoodoo, voodoo conjure of some type. And inside this box, I found little bundles of hair rolled up around bobby pins. And certainly I never had a chance to ask her or her sister, because her sister died before she did. So I never had a chance to ask her or her sister who they thought the hair belonged to. Certainly asked my mom, she had no idea. But I know that the knowledge was there in some way, even in my grandmother's generation, who was born in 1922, by the way, grew up in Kirkwood, Missouri, um, which was very similar to Tulsa, Oklahoma, another enclave of successful Black families. Um, and so that knowledge had made its way up the Mississippi River. Hoodoo, the Black Spiritualist Church, Voodoo, no matter how you spell it, had made its way up the Mississippi River and into Memphis, St. Louis, Chicago, Kansas City, and became part of our practice and traditions within our families. But we've lost the questions, we've lost the why these things were being done. Uh, King Solomon, I don't know where he went. He had a question in the private chat, but I don't see the question. He's coming back. Okay, come on in, Solomon.
I have a question, but first I have a statement. When I first got here, I went to the library and I got a book, and this book was about this guy from Africa. He was a Babalawo or a priest, I can't remember. but he was living, the book was living a traditional life in modern day terms. That's what the whole book was about. That's part of the title. My question is, how come do y'all think we got away from in this culture, whether it's voodoo, voodoo, ifa, how come we kind of like got away from the traditional way of doing things? And do you think that's hurting us?
Well, that's a powerful question to ask this close to the top of the hour. I certainly have an answer, and I'm sure Elder Reggie does as well. I
Yes.
want to say that it starts with just programming, and the programming goes all the way back to the Bois Cayman celebration that led to the uprising, that led to the Haitian Revolution. And that fear in the genetic coding was inherited not only by blacks and people of color from the Caribbean and brought to the U.S., but it was also inherited by the Creoles who came to Louisiana, and certainly by the whites. And it was inherited as ancestral fear of uprising, fear that we, are going to get out of line, fear that we're not going to, participate in the system. And then that has changed mass. It has changed how it's been done generationally to meet the conditions of what's going on, in the country. So certainly, for example, lynching was used as a tool to discourage organizing, coming together, speaking up, coming out in public and saying or doing anything that wasn't status quo, for being an uppity nigga, and certainly for practicing anything outside of safe church, as we know it, because we know that there was that was going on underground, but they were doing, they had to hide their organizing. And then you bring it up into our time, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, free love, you now have permission to, you know, have sex with white people and whomever you want, free drugs. So now we're experimenting with drugs and other mind altering substances, dimensional space opening substances, and these become distractions, delays to us coming together and unifying and standing up around the traditions that you're speaking of, that clearly our ancestors and our elders survived on, survived on. So today it's, not popular, or you might look corny, or you might look old fashioned for being, or you might be accused of being too black or too, I've been accused of being too African. Till this day, I'm accused of being too African by Africans going on the continent, but also by black people right here in the Americas. So peer pressure plays a role in why people are still hiding the practice, are still doing voodoo in a closet, but going to work and acting normal on Mardi Gras Day, and showing up at church and, and pretending like ain't nothing going on. I mean, that's just my response. Go ahead, Elder Reggie.
Yeah, what I like to add is municipalities, police departments has played a major role in suppressing our religion from the ATRs. They used to raid houses. They used to set up sting operations, send in infiltrators, and people just got really weary about those type of things until they just start leaving it alone and let it fall by the wayside. That's one process that happened.
Man, you just made a valid point, and made a personal connection that I had forgotten about. Back during the Rodney King, after that
Hmm.
uprising, and then 3 days later, 4 days later, the National Guard comes in and quells it down. Um, we were routinely being stopped and harassed by the police because they suspected, who participated in the riot and the uprising, but they didn't always have proof. So they just punished whole communities. First, they
Yeah.
punished the school system, and I'm talking UCLA, LA County schools, Pasadena, school. They cut our grants and our funding. That was the first thing they did. Then the police harassment. So I got pulled off of the bus several times in 1991, 1992 in LA under whatever suspicion of carrying a gun. I had never owned a gun at that time in my life, but they always went through my stuff. I got arrested a time or two for jaywalking, and then they would go through my bags. And so now they're pulling out crystals, voodoo oil, roots. And it was always entertaining for me because they would be suspicious, cocky, and arrogant, and terrified all at the same time. And I can see and I can tell. On the one hand, they're cocky because it's their job. They got to go through all your stuff. They have to inventory, what they got off of you when they arrested you. So they got to act cocky about it. But they're asking questions that clearly demonstrated the apprehension. Well, what is this? Is this a drug? And my response was always, sniff it. It's just oil, sniff it. And of course, the fear, the apprehension, the anxiety would really kick in. And so, even in California, which inherited New Orleans and Louisiana descendants, by the way, for many of you who don't know, there was a great migration, not just to the north, but there was a great migration out of Louisiana into California. So there's a large Creole and former, ancestral Louisiana population in California. So that fear and apprehension and caution around the practice is, again, a part of ancestral memory. It's a part of the DNA coding. You're going to find a lot of people in California, at least in the 80s and going into the 90s, who didn't know anything about voodoo, whether it was Aboriginal, West African, Haitian, or Louisiana, but had, again, read books, seen movies, had been exposed to Hollywood. And so I was a curiosity in Los Angeles. Again, I had dreadlocks, past my ass, uh, 10 plug holes in both ears, or 5 in each ear. I looked like voodoo, much like I do today, just walking. People were willing to ask questions and be a little less aggressive in California about who and what they thought I was. But surprisingly, when I came back to this part of the country, that's where that fear was amped up and heightened, particularly in the Deep South. People would tell you, I don't believe in that. I got Jesus. I go to church, but that ancestral fear still survives in both black and white people here in the South. And so they either avoid it, don't talk about it, or sneak around, creep around with it. Or, there's that population that seeks to educate themselves and reaches out where it's available. One of the controversies of Lasort's and part of our National New Orleans Voodoo Day is the presence of white people, and particularly Mambo Salian, who is a authentically initiated Mambo Asagwe in Haitian voodoo. So she paid her dues. She's traveled back and forth to Haiti. She's invested in Haitian culture and economy and this system of voodoo to bring that to New Orleans and bring that to an American populace who otherwise wouldn't have access at all to the practice. And so people through us have an opportunity to go to Haiti. People through us have an opportunity to go to Benin. But sometimes the focus is so much on her and this Jewish white woman and her assumed class and or status in society that the doorway that we, Elder Reggie and I, Lilith, Denise Augustine, and many other Black culture bearers and practitioners have opened, the focus on her is used as an excuse. Uh,
Right.
Here locally, you know, our state cultural arts center and the Sally have tried to use her whiteness and the whiteness and position of her spouse as a reason to interfere, disrupt, dismantle, protest, you know, work root against our event. And certainly they have not been successful. And certainly in the course of the last year, we've, extended an olive branch and we've had coming togethers and we've had powwows and we've had meetings. And we, since before the first event, have continued to extend an opening of unity between our organizations to address any concerns, not just about National Voodoo Day, but certainly about anyone who's a part of our team or is participating. But this too shall pass, and we continue to press forward. But the need to discuss it, explain it, talk about it, educate it is needed now more than any other time before.
Well said.
I'm gonna tell you what confuses me. And okay, like the first throw deck I had was um it was a deck. The deck is a spider deck. These, and I hope I'm not offending nobody that's white, but these white people they went over there to Africa and they got into the spider people and how they did their thing. They came up with a tour deck. Now the deck is 80 cards. The original deck is that the people over there in Africa did is supposed to be like I think 200 cards. And then reading the book, the lady was saying, well, it's 4 death cards, and then it's we in the United States, and we ain't gonna see no animal run across the road, and that means something. So what I'm getting at is the protection of the culture. They went and did that. They came out with a deck. She opened up a botanical shop, and I have no problem with Sally Glass, but this is my culture, man. And I'm trying to figure, because I'm looking at y'all. I'm looking at y'all as elders, all y'all. I'm looking at all y'all as elders. This is my culture, and the way they did things back then killed the cancer, killed the diabetes.
Now,
Then made fat. Okay,
hold on, slow down, because you said a lot. Now, first, I
okay.
want to address. I'm not aware of a tarot deck that supposedly Sally Ann created.
No.
That
It's
was,
not Sally Ann. It's not her.
oh,
This
okay.
I
So,
got a. Yeah, this is a book that
oh,
they
okay,
put
okay.
these
So
people. They went. Okay.
let me get
So
this
so
out.
what I'm.
Okay, so I get that. That was a misunderstanding. So let me address the second thing I want to say. I don't trust tarot. I don't trust tarot, and that's a unpopular thing to say in a day and time where tarot has gained such popularity. One,
Mhm.
tarot is not voodoo. Number two, tarot is not even African. So when I hear that someone went to Africa and I don't know, stole certain symbols or whatever, they're creating a tarot deck that never existed before. And as a business
Okay.
person, I understand that they're trying to avoid trademark and copyright. So they created something totally on their own, anew, so that they can sell it without competition and then market it as some expression of our culture. Now, I have over a dozen tarot decks. I have what I call authentic tarot, which starts really in Rome, Italy, European culture. Gypsies created what we understand to be tarot. Now, the symbols that they pulled came from Masonic, Masonry, and their divine math and science. It came from Kemet in ancient Egypt and their divine math and science. And some of the symbolism comes from Arabic or East Asian culture. But tarot, the word tarot, the concept of tarot is not African. So I own an Orisha deck, quote unquote, tarot. I own a voodoo deck, quote unquote, tarot. But these are really just decks that people have taken the liberty to create on their own. I mean, you got a cat deck, you got a dog deck, you got a plant tarot deck. And again, these are people taking creative license and finding synchronicities and new symbolism so that they can create a product that botanicas can sell that
Hmm.
can't be challenged in terms of copyright. Now, where our traditions come in, casting lots is probably one of the oldest known forms of divination. It's mentioned in the Bible as casting lots. Fa or Ifa is a form of casting lots. Okay, these have real, authentic African roots. And I'm sure you're aware of Solomon and maybe Elder
Hmm.
Richard.
Oh yeah,
It's
oh
very
yeah.
valuable for people to understand Ifa divination. Even if you have a stack of books, what it takes to make sense of it, to put all those random orders of Odu together, to understand the orientation, Ibi, Ire, Asoko, it takes years of dedication and practice. And it takes an astute memory. Now, we've seen book authors, black and white, appropriate that information, write books about that information, but you still just can't grasp it all from the books without going to the community and being mentored by an elder, being initiated into the practice, and then learning the synchronicities of how to work the palm nuts or work the cowrie shells, and then read the symbols that are being presented. But crystals, tarot cards, even burning, we try and associate that as Aboriginal and indigenous to the Americas, and that's not. That's purely a botanica product. Indigenous Aboriginal folks did not grow white sage and wrap it in string and crushed it up like you would herbs and burned it, on a conch shell or on a seashell or in a clay vessel along with other herbs, roots, and plants. So we're now wiping out white sage all on a fictional practice that Botanica started so that they can have something to sell. So I strongly suggest growing your own sage. It's extremely easy to do. I'm actually going to have a sage plant as one of my contributions to the herb and ecology format for our symposium April 5th. One of the 5 plants and trees that I'm going to bring is a live sage plant that I'm growing in my yard to demonstrate that we can grow our own food, we can grow our own herbs, we can grow our own medicine, we can grow our own ritual supplies without giving in to the botanicas, which are basically run by capitalism, black or white. Rarely is a botanica run by someone who is formally initiated. Rarely is a botanica run by someone who's operating within these traditions on a normal
You still there? I think you broke up.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Felix at F&F on Broad Street was the one botanica that I know that was owned and operated and hired people who practiced the tradition. And that's one of the things that made F&F so popular and world renowned. But that's not the case anymore. And with people being able to create botanicas now offline, remotely, virtually, from their website, you can't trust that they know anything about the stuff that they're selling or about the actual ritual applications whatsoever. So I agree with you, Solomon, in that, you know, borrowing, bastardizing, appropriating the tradition has been going on since before Marie Laveau. I get that. I also
So,
have come to a personal place of understanding that I can't constantly fight it. We saw that in Yahoo 360, MySpace, back in the day. People would get on social media and really just fight back and forth about what the tradition looks like, what's authentic to the tradition. And often they were arguing across lineage, how the Cubans do it versus how the Puerto Ricans do it, versus how the Nigerians do it in Osogbo, versus how the Nigerians do it in Oshun Village. I mean, and that would be the basis of the argument, as opposed to teaching and educating the tradition and making it universally available to us. But white people have often been in a position financially, culturally, have had the liberty and the freedom to sort of travel in and out of our practices and gain access to our practices. They're doing it in Haiti. They're doing it in Nigeria. We all know people of other races and ethnic groups that are now initiating into these practices and traditions. But they do not possess, in most cases, the ethno-cultural DNA ancestral footprint, which I think is critical in operating in these traditions. Why aren't we as Black people appropriating Nordic tradition or Celtic tradition? And I ask white people the same question. Why aren't you going back to your Aboriginal indigenous root? And what makes ours so much more appealing to you? And I believe until that happens, we'll never have world peace. The last thing I'm going to say before I pass the mic is if I had my way, DNA would be as accessible as a birth certificate and a social security number. I think it would alter the very dynamics of racism, ethnicity, and how we operate in that in the West and ultimately globally. It'd be much harder to be racist, act, you know, in prejudice, manners, if we had a clear understanding of who everybody is. Are you all with me?
this was,
Oh yeah, I'm here. We
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
listening.
yeah. This was very enlightening because I have really have, I just got me a deck. I have no desire, and I got a call today for reading. I have no desire to read the terror. I really want to do something. I want to do the bones. I want to do cover shells, but I have to learn. And I just, for me, it just, I mean, if I walk outside and doing my thing, it's a way to make money. But I'm trying to make this not about the dollar. I'm trying to make this about the connection and the authenticity of this culture.
Now,
If you go over there, go
no, I
ahead.
was going to say you brought up another valuable point about a dollar. We've been taught the dollar, we've been taught the capitalism, we've been taught materialism from the West, and it's embedded into their religion, offering tithes, the cost of the mortgage, the cost of the electricity. So we cannot compare indigenous Aboriginal practice and tradition, where you owned your own goats, Elder Reggie owned his own chickens,
Hmm.
where Sister so and so made clay pots, for our touring, and then we exchange through services and products. That's not happening today. People aren't making their own pots by hand, not in our community. Now it's happening in Brazil, it's happening in Cuba, and then they're selling those implements and those items out to the greater community. But where do we house our slaves and our voodoo houses and have electricity and have running water and have power and have access to animals and other resources with our economics coming into the conversation in a modern context? My average consultation at the minimum is 90 minutes. So if I'm doing four readings in a day, you're talking over 8 hours of my day. Who pays my rent? What about my mortgage? Who funds the 12 candles that I got burning in this room right now that are going to go out in 8 or 9 days and I have to, relight them? How do I afford fresh cola nuts that are being imported from West Africa? How do I import certain ritual items that are critical to initiation ceremonies without the discussion of economics? I think one of
Right.
our distractions is what we experienced in the past. Again, church, taxes, government, Western rules and regulations, versus reclaiming a more
You broke up.
whoever thought authentic voodoo ceremonies from Ogun Village, from Ivory Coast, from the US, from Haiti, would be streamed live on the internet. None of us could have envisioned that 10 or 20 years ago. And so now the churches are there, the Muslims are there, the Jews are there, the Christians are there. How do we compete with that without some understanding of economics within our communities? How do we become self-sustaining as a ATR community if no one wants to talk about donations and offerings or investments for that reason?
Excuse me. I can still hear you. I got the headphones on. I
Oh,
just want to
okay.
get y'all opinion. Go ahead, talk.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up soon. But we're challenged just to get people to share food, to grow and share food. I've been a participant through 4 community gardens right here in our community, and we struggle to keep the community gardens active and going. We've had to move location more than once because no one can outright afford to buy the land, the property that we've been growing on. So we've been using, abandoned lots, borrowed plots of land until we were unable to do that anymore. So at some point, we've got to go back to keeping in line with King Solomon's point, buying land, acquiring land, growing food, growing herbs, creating and making supplies, teaching, mentoring, assisting within this community, and certainly providing those services that we felt that we should have gotten from religion and didn't, that we should have gotten from the church and didn't. I'm assisting to feed my community, but I can't always do that, off of just my acting income. So I appreciate that question. That's a great question, a great topic that we must continue to discuss. Kim P. Ford, before she left, said, please let Sally know that Kim P. Ford said to tell you that you have my full support. Well, we appreciate that, and I'm sure somebody is carrying the message to her probably as we speak. Listen, I appreciate my co-host, Green Soap, Elder Reggie, King Solomon, Chisholm. I look forward to meeting here with you again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time. We typically don't go this long, but if there's conversation and people are participating, then we certainly will go as long as we need to. Good night, peace and blessings, Miss Lacey, the alchemist. Thank you kindly for doing your part and participating and being present. Thank you, Kim P. Ford. Uh, who am I forgetting?
Mhm.
There were a few others that were in the chat that are gone now. Imani Sankofa, thank you so much for checking in with us again. And to all those who are enjoying us, participating with us in social media, uh, we look forward to meeting you here again tomorrow night, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time. Please visit, support, join us for New Orleans National Voodoo Day this year, April 5th and 6th. Visit our website at www.voodooday.org. That's VODOUDAY.org. And this day wouldn't be the same without the YOU. Remember that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it's all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. No matter what you do, no matter what you're confronted with, no matter what you're challenged with, respect the voodoo. No matter what you do, respect the voodoo. Odabo, I'll see you tomorrow night. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much, Solomon.